Hello folks! Today I want to show you my thoughts on a medium distance bug out bag or get home bag. Primarily I will use this for a get home bag. This bag has the items that I feel are critical for a 2 to 3 day hike or 10 to 30 miles. Again, some of you are probably saying you can move faster than that, but again, you can't guarantee when you'll have to start or what the conditions will be. This may greatly slow you down, as well as the weight of the gear that you're now going to be carrying. Now, before I start reviewing all the gear, I want to mention a word on planning. Some of you have heard me say failure to plan is planning to fail. At this distance, planning will make the journey much easier. Not planning can lead to catastrophe. I believe there are 3 key areas at this distance: navigation, communications, and shelter. Let's start with navigation. Is this distance your daily commute? Do you have a planned route to get back home or to your bug out location? If so, do you know where opportunities for shelter or water are located? These might be police stations, fire stations, designated emergency shelters, churches, schools, libraries, parks, or athletic fields, to name a few. How long will it take you to reach this safe area, and do you have enough daylight? Or should you shelter in place and wait till the next morning? If you do not have a consistent daily commute, have you identified any of the above areas within 30 miles of your home or bug out location? If not, you may want to take some time to do so in advance. If you still haven't prepared before disaster strikes, please consult a map before beginning your journey and identify your target destination. Also, as another rule of threes, I would suggest having 3 target locations. Conditions may change, which might make you change your route. You may not be able to cover as much distance as you anticipated, or you may actually cover more. Be prepared with a navigation plan, but be flexible with that plan. The second area of concern is communication. You need to know what is going on, what areas are safe, when and where you can get help, and how to communicate with others. When we get to communication, you will see that I've upgraded my capabilities for this distance and duration. The last area is shelter. Plan on spending at least 1 night exposed to the elements, but no more than 2. This doesn't mean pack the camper. You still need to travel light, but you need to plan for the weather extremes. Now I'm showing the bag that I plan on carrying for this distance. It is a Triple Aught Designs Fast Pack. It does have a water bladder pocket, internal frame, and waist belt. For more information on this pack, see my review located at the link in the description of this video. All up with water and gear, my bag weighs 37.5 pounds. 4.5 pounds is the dry weight of the pack, and I have 4.5 pounds of water from my car survival kit. This leaves 28.5 pounds of gear. This is a little heavier than I would like, so I'm interested in people's thoughts on where I should lighten things up. Okay, so here I am wearing the pack from the front, from the one side, then from the back. You can see I've got my medical kit on the back, plus my car windshade in the beaver tail, along with an umbrella, my sleeping kit strapped to the bottom, and then I have a pouch for a water bottle on this side. Now I've also heard the argument that, hey, your bag is too technical looking. You're going to make yourself a target. Well, I have 2 schools of thought on that. The first, in a true disaster scenario, if you're carrying a backpack, I don't care what kind of backpack, you are a target. Period. Having a pack means you either had stuff that was too valuable to leave behind, or you have stuff that is valuable to use in a disaster. Either one makes you a target for undesirables. But in deference to the critics, I have a solution. And that is my rain cover. And 1 second while I throw that on the back. If I feel that I'm entering an area where my bag choice may get me more scrutiny, I'll simply put on my blue rain cover of my bag. From a distance, it then looks like an ugly blue backpack as opposed to a military pack. Now we'll move on to the contents of the bag. Again, I'm not going to make you watch me pull everything out. Instead, I'll present them in groups according to the rule of threes, starting with air, then shelter, water, food, and finally navigation, communication, first aid, and miscellaneous tools. 1 second while I get the first group. The first category is air, and the only items here that are different from my 5 to 10 mile get home bag is the addition of a pair of safety glasses. In this scenario, we will have the probability of traveling in low light conditions, and this will protect from the stick/bug/thorn in the eye. Starting on the left, I have an N95 mask, then a shemagh. I do wear glasses, so I have a pair of clip-on sunglasses, and then a cleaning cloth. The clip-on sunglasses and the cleaning cloth come from my personal EDC. The second category is shelter. Again, shelter begins with the change of season appropriate clothes in my car. Keep in mind that you have to be prepared for the extremes of the seasons, not the averages. The high during the day and the low during the night. You also have to be prepared for what's falling from the sky, whether that's snow, rain, sleet, or a mixture thereof. So to start out, on the right, I have a pair of Keen hiking boots. Good footwear is a must. You will be walking a long distance over possibly rough terrain, carrying a heavy load. Having good footwear can make a huge difference. Also, you'll need socks for several days. Also have a pair of pants. In the summer, I use a pair of Columbia pants that convert to shorts. In the winter, I tend to transition to a pair of Land's End flannel lined for warmth. Also, I have a short sleeve shirt for Under Armour, and then also a long sleeve thermal shirt. Also plan on a fleece layer during the cold seasons. Having a wind or rain shell, a winter parka. I like leather gloves for mechanics to protect my hands. Also thermal gloves for when it's cold. A shemagh or a neck gaiter, again you saw that in the air category, can be used here as an improvised scarf. Having a beanie with a neck gaiter to keep your head and neck warm. Keep the top of your jacket sealed to your body to keep your warmth in. In the summer, having a baseball cap to keep the sun off of your head. Out of my car EDC, I also have a cheap poncho to cover me for rain and my umbrella. I also have a survival blanket. And then sunscreen for the summer months and bug spray. Now we will move on to the structure part of shelter, where you'll see a lot of changes from my 5 to 10 mile get home bag. Okay, this is the structure part of my shelter. On the upper right hand side you see a blue tarp roll. That is a 10 by 12 waterproof tarp. I like to have more tarp because that gives me flexibility in terms of how I set up my shelter as opposed to packing a smaller 5 by 7 tarp. Also inside that roll is a bug bivvy and a fleece blanket. Next to it is a Soul Adventure blanket. This is a thermal tarp. It is blaze orange on one side and is the heat reflecting silver on the other. It also has about 8 grommet holes in it, so it's heavier than your typical Soul survival blanket. However, it does have a heavy chemical smell. So again, I keep it packed in a vacuum bag so it doesn't make the rest of my bag smell. Next to it, I have a Soul Escape bivvy to sleep in. I have the thermal shade from my car to serve as an improvised sleeping pad. I have 25 feet of paracord for my ridgeline. I have several stakes. Then I have some jam cams. Those are great for setting up your ridgeline and also getting your lines taut to your stakes. I am great at tying knots, just the wrong type of knots. So in the dark, I tend to use jam cams. It's kind of cheat, a little bit of weight there. And then I have several lengths of smaller paracord, so I don't have to be cutting up my long length. Next to it in the red or orange dry bag is where I keep my spare socks, spare underwear, spare base layer. That keeps them dry if my pack gets wet. It also serves as my pillow at night. So now we're going to take a segue and I will take you outside to show you how I set this all up. So this is what it would look like. This is what I'd be kind of camping out with at night. Again, having the tarp, having the bug bivvy, having the Soul Escape bivvy gives me a lot of flexibility depending what the environments are like for that evening. And again, I may not spend an entire night in this. I may only spend 3 or 4 hours in order to get recharged and then get moving again, because the idea is always to be getting home, not necessarily to be camping and trying to have a nice place to live. As a transition between shelter and water, again, is a subcategory of fire, as it enables both. In this journey, I plan on the probability of making 2 fires, boiling water for a Mountain House meal for dinner, warmth during that night, and then again boiling some more water for another Mountain House breakfast meal. In my 5 to 10 mile kit, you saw my fire steel, a lighter, single wet fire, the cotton balls, and a little sealed case from REI, my Fresno lens, stormproof matches, and some Kleenex to also use as tinder. To that, I've added a magnesium block, some more Esbit cubes. For those of you who've been wondering how I keep everything organized in my pack, I tend to use a lot of the heavy-duty Ziploc storage bags. I don't buy extra little pouches because they add weight, and the thickness of the Cordura doesn't let them compress as much. So also, those little blocks stink to high heaven. So keeping them in a Ziploc bag is critical. I also have some fat wood, and then I have a new Emberlit stove that I just got. I haven't had a chance to use this guy out yet, but I saw some other really good recommendations from some folks, so I decided to add it. Again, in a urban area, people may not appreciate you building a fire in their front yard or in a park or something like that. Using a small little stove like this allows you to keep a low profile. It will allow you to put a cup of water on the top of it with a little crossbar there. Keeps it nice and stable on top. I also have a piece of tin foil to use as a windbreak, or if I'm building a larger fire, it can function as a base for the fire in case the ground is wet. Keep my fire from sinking into the ground. So it's a fairly large piece of tinfoil that I've folded up multiple times. I also have my Sawiver. It's a collapsible saw. I like it better than the little switchbladey ones. I've had it for a while. You can see it's fairly beat up. I'll take another picture of it so you can see it folded up and how much room it actually takes up. It's fairly light with an aluminum frame, but fairly sturdy. I also have an original Gerber LMF knife. Had it for forever. And I just like it. It works. I haven't bothered to upgrade. Everybody's always bugging me. Why am I dragging that thing around? Well, it works. So I have a saw to be cutting up some pieces of wood. I have my hunting knife to be batoning it if I need to break it up into kindling. Again, I'm not going to be looking to build a big bonfire, just a couple small fires so I can boil some water, maybe have some heat during the night if it's cold. So again, this is my fire category. So 1 second while I collapse up that saw and show you how small it gets. So here you see the Sawiver collapse down, the blade stores in the long handle part across the top, and you also see the stove collapsed flat, taken apart. Okay, this is the category of water. In my 5 to 10 mile kit, you saw a coffee filter with some rubber bands and a Shimog to help me filter water into my 40-ounce clean canteen. You can see I've changed out to a Pathfinder School 32-ounce. I did that because the water purification tablets are sized for a 32-ounce container, and I didn't want to be guessing as I was trying to do that. I also have the 4 bottles of water from my car emergency kit that would then go into my water bottle and into my Camelback water bladder. You can see I also have the Pathfinder School cup, and inside the cup they've put some graduations that tell you how many liters or ounces you're putting in there, which helps you for measuring out water for those Mountain House meals. So to my original kit, again, I upgraded to the Pathfinder water bottles. I have the lid that helps it boil. I have the little lifter to get it in and out of the fire. I've then added my Katadyn water filter. I like that thing because the filter just lasts for forever. I also have the attachment that allows me to pump water directly into my water bladder with the quick releases on the nozzle. And then you can see I have the Camelback water bladder that goes inside my backpack. So again, I've upgraded in terms of my ability to filter water and the amount of water that I can carry with me. In the category of food, again, you're going to be looking to try to eat for 2 to 3 days. And again, while that is nowhere near the limit of the 3 weeks that you can sustain without food, keep in mind you're going to be trying to cover 10 to 30 miles. So putting calories in is going to be critical, as well as food being a morale booster for you while you're hiking. So towards those ends, from my personal EDC, I have vitamin C drops and some Altoid mints to suck on while hiking. Also have Planters peanuts from my car emergency kit, along with some Slim Jims. Again, also some Met RX bars. Again, I really like these bars. They have a lot of calories in them, but in addition to the calories, they have a lot of protein and vitamins and minerals. What you have to remember is when you're working out and sweating, you're sweating a lot of your key nutrients, and you're also using them up and burning them up. So the Met RX bars, depending which ones you buy, have anywhere from 30 to 40% of the daily allowance of the different vitamins and minerals and protein and fat and all of those good things. So they're a really good meal supplement bar. In addition to those, I've added a couple Mountain House meals, one dinner, rice and chicken, and for breakfast, a breakfast skillet. So again, this is the food that I would plan on carrying to try to sustain me for those 2 to 3 days while I try to get back home. Okay, here's the navigation category. Starts out with a map. Then I have my iPhone. Again, I have several GPS apps loaded on the phone. And again, the maps are stored locally, so I don't have to depend on the internet. All I have to depend on is being able to see the GPS satellites. I've also upgraded the battery backup on the phone from that little battery stick that you saw before to a Goal Zero Guide 10 Plus. And again, I have the USB cable to the phone. I'm just not showing it here. But again, that should give me a couple charges of my phone to keep me running for the couple days that I would need to be running the GPS. Again, I have a pair of binoculars so I can see where I'm going, what's out in the distance. You know, is there danger for a bridge being out or, you know, any other type of natural disaster? You want to make sure the way is clear before you hike that mile down there, because then you're just going to have to hike back. Again, I have a compass with a magnifying glass in it. Oh, I should mention the Goal Zero also, in addition to being able to charge my phone, it also has a light on it, so it is a backup for my flashlight. I then have my watch, so again, keeping track of how many hours you have of daylight left. That becomes critical to know when to stop so that you're not trying to pitch camp in the dark. Also, if you're looking to start your journey late in the day, you may be better off waiting until the next morning so you can get a full day of hiking in before you have to stop and camp to try to get as much of those 30 miles done as possible. Again, that watch has multiple redundancies on it. It has a button compass and a button thermometer, and it also has an LED light. And then again, since you may end up walking in the dark, you know, all plans go awry, having a headlamp that you can put on your head to light the way, and then also some marking tape. If you're going to be going through some rural or wilderness areas, always a good idea to have marking tape so you can mark your path so that if you do get disoriented, you can back your way out by following your trail blazes. That is my area for navigation. Okay, so here's the category of communication, and you'll see some upgrades here. Again, as I mentioned before, I've upgraded my battery pack from the little battery stick to the Goal Zero Guide 10 Plus. I can use that to charge my iPhone and also charge my iPad. Obviously, if the cell phone network is still up, or if I can get to a place where there's coverage, I want to use that to call somebody to come and get me or to call for help. I'd rather have somebody come get me than continue to walk for the rest of the 30 miles. Also, the iPod has the ability to have an FM radio in it, so I can get communications that way. The other thing that you'll see is I've added a, and I'll probably pronounce this wrong, so I apologize in advance, an Uzon handheld radio. I just purchased that. I'm beginning to pursue my ham radio license, so I'm still a real neophyte. But I liked this radio because it covers all of the CB bands, it covers the marine bands, it covers the NOAA radio, it covers FM, and then it also works with the ham radio. And also on the iPhone, I have the Repeater Book app that tells me all the repeater stations. So if I'm going to be traveling around the country, I can go online or on the app, find out what those repeater stations are, and then reprogram the phone with those. Also, in addition to the radio, I have the little battery replacement on the back so I can use alkaline batteries in it. And you see I have some of those in Storacell battery keepers so I don't end up rolling all over inside my bag. Then back to the basics of the communication area. I have a whistle for signaling people. I have a signaling mirror if there's aircraft out looking for me or if I'm trying to signal somebody who's far away. Also, I have a pair of binoculars because if I'm trying to signal someone, I need to be able to see what they're signaling back to me. Then I have several lights here. I have a larger C-cell flashlight out of my car survival kit, as well as my AA mag light out of my personal EDC, and then I have a battery-powered glow stick. The glow sticks are great for putting on the end of a paracord and spinning in a circle in the dark. It creates a disc of light for people to be able to see you. And then also in the communication category, I include my wallet, because if I'm incapacitated and I can't speak, my wallet has my ID, my emergency contact card. So there's a way for people to find out about who I am, where I'm from, and to get me help. I also have an allergy to penicillin, so I wear a medical alert. And also on that chain, I have an emergency information fob that you open up and you can read all different kinds of things about me, including blood type and my penicillin allergy, as well as contact information for my wife. Again, I carry that as opposed to a USB stick, because USB sticks can get fried, but that's pencil and paper. People will be able to read it. Then I also have the Write in the Rain notepad, along with a pen and a Sharpie. As I've stated before, if you're going to leave your vehicle, you should leave a note that says when you left the vehicle, where you're headed, when you think you'll get there, maybe what clothing you're wearing, the path that you plan to take, so that if people find your vehicle, they can then know where your path is and hopefully overtake you on your journey. Now, this doesn't mean, for people who are, security minded, saying, oh my goodness, some bad people might find that and then be able to track you down. It doesn't mean that you have to leave that note taped to the steering wheel right in front of it. You can hide it under the seat. You can put it in a glove compartment. You can put it in a storage box on the vehicle. So long as people who are coming looking for you, who you like, know where to look for that note, it will give you benefit. How many times have you seen where an individual left his car but didn't tell people where he was going? They find the car, but they can't find the individual because they don't know which direction he headed off in. The other thing there, you'll see the marking tape again. Sometimes if you tell your family, hey, if I'm headed home, I'm going to be leaving a trail of pink marking tape. So, even if you're going through an urban area, you tie it to a stop sign. They know you made it at least that far. You wrap it around a hydrant. Again, they know you at least made it that far. So again, this is a way to communicate with people who may be out searching for you after a disaster has struck. So all ways that you can kind of think outside the box to get communication to people who can bring you help and aid. Okay, this is my category for first aid. Again, what I carry hasn't really changed all that much from my 5 to 10 mile get home bag, but how I organize it has. I've taken a lot of the items for treating major injuries, such as quick clots, the tourniquet, and moved it to my Maxpedition FR first aid pouch, which is on the outside of my pack for quicker access. I'm a firm believer that first aid should focus on cuts, scrapes, injuries to your hands, feet, knees, ankles, things that you can fix with bandages, moleskin, minor things. Major injuries will get in the way of the goal of getting home. If you have to rely on a tourniquet or something like that, chances are you're not making it to where you're planning on going. But with that said, you'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So here we go as we review through the contents of what I carry, and I'm also going to cover where I carry it in the pack. So starting in the top left-hand corner, this first row is what is in the outside pouch. So first off, I have a set of shears for cutting through clothing. I have a rat's tourniquet, along with an Israeli bandage, a pair of nitrile gloves, a small Maglite flashlight, AAA, a roll of medical tape, a roll of gauze, a couple 2-inch gauze pads, a couple 4-inch gauze pads, a package of Quick Clot, a larger, thicker gauze pad. I have a couple tongue depressor sticks in there just because they fit well in the Maxpedition pack as opposed to inside the bag. No other real reason there. Again, I'm carrying my smartphone with several first aid apps on there. There are some good ones from the Red Cross as well as others. Again, I put my medical alert in this category as well to warn people who may be applying first aid to me that I have some allergies that they need to be aware of. And then also from my personal EDC, I have a Coleman first aid tin that I've modified the contents of. Some people ask me what those contents were because I did not go over it in my 5 to 10 mile get home bag, but I will go over it again here for you folks. So inside of there I've added some Bonine, which is an anti-nausea pill. I like it better than Dramamine because Bonine is chewable. It comes in strawberry or cherry flavor and it lasts 12 hours. Most often I've found Dramamine where you have to swallow it and it only lasts 4 hours. And if you're really feeling like you're going to throw up, do you really want to try and swallow a pill? not much fun. I also have a stick of chapstick, a small sewing kit for sewing up tears in clothing. I have some triple antibiotic ointment, a couple of safety pins, some sting relief wipes, also some cleansing wipes for cleaning around a wound area. I have your basic assortment of bandages from small, medium, and large. I have some butterflies in there, as well as some knuckle bandages. I still need to kind of upgrade to some Dermabond and some steri strips there. I have some small pieces of moleskin there to cut up to put on feet, and all of that fits in that small Coleman tin at the top of that row. Then in the rest of the bag, I have that assortment of contents there in 2 different Ziploc bags. So I have an ACE bandage, which can be used to wrap an ankle or a knee or wrist or elbow. Can also be used to compress down some of the gauze around an injury. I have some more gloves. I have some finger cots. These are kind of, think of it like a finger condom. I hate to use that analogy, but that's what it is. It rolls up over your finger, so if you get some wounds on your finger after you've cleaned them out, put a Band-Aid on them, you can roll these over your finger. They help keep the gauze or the bandage in place, or if you had to splint your finger, again, it's going to keep the wound clean while you're walking. I have a pair of tweezers for getting out splinters or ticks. Also have some Johnson & Johnson diaper rash ointment. You are going to be walking. You are going to be chafing somewhere, so it's handy to have that. I have some burn ointment. Again, I have some more antiseptic wipes. I have some protective dressing, some Q-tips, again, some more safety pins. I have some Neosporin, some Purell, some Gold Bond foot powder, the bug spray, sunscreen, some wet ones, again, for cleaning off areas of your body. Back up at the top, in a little Nalgene bottle, I have some Tums. Again, if you have an upset stomach. I have some aspirin for some pain relief. Some Pepto, again in that nausea category. I have an extra Israeli bandage, some earplugs in case it's noisy when you're trying to get some rest, some bugs or some other things in an urban area are going on. Again, some more insect relief, some more cleansing wipes, some more triple antibiotic ointment. I have a sterile iPad in case you get that bug or stick in the eye. Some extra 2-inch gauze pads, more bandages, a huge bandage there. An extra package of Quick Clot, some Kleenex, and then also a cold pack. It's one of those ones where you break the contents inside, shake it up, and it gets cold. So all of this goes on either the outside of my pack, in my little Maxpedition pouch, goes inside the Coleman tin, or it goes inside a larger Ziploc baggie that is inside the main body of my pack. And so those are all the first aid items that I carry. Okay, this is tools category. Some of these you've seen in previous sections, some of them you haven't. So you see the Saw-Viver up there on the top. Then I have a Smith & Wesson folding knife they use for small, delicate tasks. I've had that knife for forever. It's heavy, but it just stands up to a beating, so I like it. Some mace for some personal protection. A little Kershaw folding knife as a backup to the Smith & Wesson. Roll of duct tape for patching holes in clothing, jackets, in the bag. Also for an impromptu bandage for wounds. Some electrical tape, just to have a second type of tape. Obviously paracord, which you saw before, is part of shelter for making a ridge line. A multi-tool. I got that one with a Dremel tool. I just like it. It's spring-loaded. It does what I need it to. In category of lights, battery-powered glow stick. I also have a couple chemical glow sticks somewhere around here, thrown in here. A C-cell mag light. That's out of my car survival kit. It's a nice heavy flashlight. Yeah, it's heavyweight to carry, but it can also be used as an impromptu club, as a defensive weapon. You saw my little AA mag light. Again, that's from my personal EDC. I have my Dakota watch, which has multiple things on it besides just the watch, the compass, the thermometer, as well as the light. Then a better compass there. Lighter. The Goal Zero Guide 10 Plus, again, upgrading the battery power that I'm carrying with me. Headlamp to see in the dark, binoculars to see people far away and conditions far away. Carrying more batteries with me. In the Storacell Keepers, again, those are not rechargeables because they're primarily for the Uzon radio because unfortunately it can't take rechargeable batteries, one of the things I don't really like about it. And then obviously my Gerber hunting knife. So that was my 10 to 30 mile get home bag. All of it fits in around my backpack. And again, I still keep certain things on my person, such as my phone, knife, compass, minimal fire kit, lighter, wallet, medical alert, and my watch. I try to keep it to the items I would need in a 2-day emergency hike. I do not have a full change of clothes, nor do I have a full tent. I like the flexibility a tarp setup gives me. Hopefully this video made you think. Again, I'm interested in your thoughts regarding what I might be missing and what you think I shouldn't be carrying. Please submit comments and suggestions, and as always, please subscribe. Thank you.